Hi, everyone. Oh, okay, great. I'm going to give everybody about a minute. Hi, everyone. Happy New Week. Wonderful. I'm going to give everyone about a minute to jump on, and then we will get going. Oh, it's been a long day. Hi, everyone. As you're joining, welcome. We're going to start in the next minute, just to give everybody a second to jump in, and and we will get started. And pardon me if there's some noise in the background. I am at a conference, and so I had to make do with what space I found. Okay, let us get started. And then I have access to the chat so I can see questions, comments, concerns all in the chat. So happy Monday. Welcome to Monday Momentum. Today we're going to be talking about the financial habits that separate freedom from frustration. And the big one idea that I kind of want you to take away is that financial freedom is not an event. It's not a number that you hit one day and like maybe like the clouds part, right? But I say it's a set of habits that compound very quietly so that you like barely notice. And then until one day, right, you realize and you're like, oh my goodness, I have options. I have a lot of options that people don't, and that's what makes me different. And so the flip side is kind of also true, right? Financial frustration isn't one bad decision. I think that it's a set of habits that drain you so slowly that you don't even see that it's leaking. And so that's kind of how I want us to frame our mindset about the conversation that we're having today. But I want to start with something that I think might sting a little bit, right? I think a lot of high earners are financially frustrated. So they're not broke, right? They have money, but they're frustrated. And I think there's a really big difference. Broke means like you don't have it, right? You just don't have the money. But frustrated means that you have it, but it's not doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And so the idea is that like you're making good money and somehow like you still feel like you're behind. Like you're earning more than you ever imagined and you still don't feel free, right? So every year you tell yourself, okay, next year I'm going to get serious. I'm going to do the thing, right? And next year looks exactly like this year. That's why you're frustrated. So it's not an income problem, right? The habits like are a problem and not it's not like your financial habits, right? But those habits that you start building are your financial operating system. And if the operating system is kind of broken, then it truly doesn't even matter how much money you pour into that system. And it just because you're going to keep getting the same results. So, what I want to do today is draw kind of like a clear line between the habits that build freedom and the habits that still keep you getting frustrated. And I really want you to be honest with yourself about where you are right now, right? And so that's the idea of this. We come here every day to kind of unroof some of the things that we're struggling with and how we can make it better. So today, right, I want to do a quick check, right? Where are you? Do you feel like you're in the freedom area, or do you feel like you're in the frustrated area? So like put it in the chat, right? What are you feeling right now? Not necessarily where you want to be, but where you are right this second. Excuse me. Put that in the chat. I'd love to kind of hear where people are. So I'm hearing I'm financially frustrated, and it's not again right. It's not where you need to be, but it's where you are right now. Because I do think a lot of us are frustrated. We're not broke, right? We have the money, but I think a lot of us are frustrated. And I want to say I appreciate the honesty, of the people who are saying, I kind of feel frustrated. So I want to walk you through kind of the habits that I see over and over in very smart, successful, high earning people who are financially stuck. I see the same thing again. And the first habit is that you what you earn, you spend it in like that same breath, right? So like this happens, right? So the when you make money, right, you get a raise, right? So the raise happens, and then the lifestyle, your lifestyle kind of expands to match it. So nicer car, and a brand new car, a bigger house, nicer vacations, right? And every time you feel like, okay, you justify it because you're like, well, I worked hard, I got the raise, I deserve it. And you do deserve it, right? But that's not the issue. I think the issue is that your expenses are keeping pace with your income, and it shouldn't be that way. So that what that means is that like the wealth gap, it's just there, it never actually widens, right? It's like steady, because the more you make, the more you increase, and so you're running, I feel like you're running faster on that same treadmill. And freedom, I've learned, freedom doesn't come from earning more. We think, okay, let's make more money, we're going to become free, right? I think freedom comes from keeping that gap between what you earn and what you spend, like as wide as possible for as long as possible. And that gap, I think, is where like your entire financial future lies. That's the most important. So that's that first habit, where like what you make, you spend right away. And the second habit I see a lot of people who are frustrated is that like your money has no assignment. So it's kind of sitting in a checking account, it's sitting in a savings account, and it's doing almost nothing, right? And maybe you have like a 401k because somebody told you to do it at work. And then, so you don't, other than that, right? It's just sitting doing nothing. And if I ask you right now, can you account for where every dollar of your money goes and what its job is, right? Can you account for that? I think most people are not going to be able to answer yes, right? And what happens is this unassigned money, it just continues to drift and it continues to get spent, and it kind of gets forgotten. So that's kind of what I've seen. One thing I can tell you is that it doesn't grow. The wealthiest people that I know, they can tell you exactly where their capital is being deployed. They can tell you exactly what it's doing, right? And it's not because they're obsessive, but it's because they're intentional about every single one of them. So it's not a bad thing to know where every dollar, every dime is spent, or where it is accounted for. And so the third habit is like you're not seeing the full picture. So you're kind of avoiding the full picture. You don't check your net worth, you don't track your spending, you don't even open your investment statements, right? They send it down, you're like, I don't know what that. And it's not laziness, right? And you're just avoiding it because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're afraid that the numbers won't be what they should be for someone at your income level. So maybe as someone at your caliber, you're like, I've worked this hard, I should have this much, right? But it's not there. So then the answer for you is just to avoid it and you don't look. And what you don't look, right, it doesn't change. It doesn't change the circumstance, it doesn't change your situation. Avoiding, I think, is the most expensive financial habit that there is. It's going to cost you years. So you have to think about like, what is avoiding costing me? So if you've been following me and you are financially frustrated right now, which of these three habits are you kind of struggling with? So do you spend everything that you earn? Is it that your money has no assignment, so it's just sitting, you don't know where you're going? That's habit two. Or habit three, you're not seeing the full picture. So you're not checking all that you are worth. You're too afraid because you're afraid to see what the numbers are. So if you're one, two, or three, put it in the chat. I will say that I used to struggle, like my money didn't have an assignment, right? So I would just be like, okay, I'm making money and I see the money, but like the money's not doing anything. And if it's just sitting there, then it's losing value daily. So I think that's one thing that I struggled with that I've like worked on to make significantly better. And so if at some point you toss it in the chat, I'd like to know what you're struggling with. But I want to show you the other side. So I showed you the bad habits, right, of people who are frustrated. I see I'm number three. I'm looking at the chat as well. I see I'm number three. Okay. So now maybe you need to look and you need to realize so that you're empowered to make better decisions. And so I've showed you kind of the people, the professionals who are struggling, who are frustrated. Now, I want to show you the the habits of the people who do it well, right? Because the people who have built real freedom, they aren't doing anything magical. They're just doing. This is my favorite thing to do in life: is to do those few boring things and do it ridiculously consistent. That's it, right? So it's not pretty, it's not sexy, it's just doing the same mundane thing, but that's what's going to get you, that's what's going to give you the growth, that's what's going to give you the success. So the first habit, right? They pay themselves first, and that's non-negotiable. So sometimes even before the lifestyle, even before anything else, right? A percentage of every dollar that comes in gets moved into an investment account of sorts. So the idea is that you don't do it from what's left over, you do it first, right? What comes first, you do that. And the percentage doesn't matter. You just have to remain consistent. So I say start with 10%, right? And maybe get to 20 and then push it to 30 if you can. And even more if you can, right? But the point is that it happens before you get a chance to spend it, right? Before you're like, okay, the vacay and the living my best life money and the fear of missing out, what others are doing, all of those things don't matter, right? Because the first thing that you do is you allocate this money to the right place, and that's paying you because whatever you invest in is coming back to you, right? This one habit alone, it separates more people than like any investment strategy will. Like if you start doing this again, remember I told you like the growth and the success, it's in the mundane, it's in the boring, it's in the consistent, but this is what's going to make you money. And so the second freedom habit is that like they deploy capital, they just don't save it. Saving is one step, and you should save money. You should have money for a rainy day. You should make sure your emergency fund is safe. But deploying is where freedom actually gets built, right? So that means that your money goes into things like, anything that produces income or appreciates in value without your time, right? So thinking about where you can deploy that capital, whether it's real estate, whether it's syndication, whether it's business, whether it's index funds, right? You have a wide array of things that you can deploy your capital into. But whatever that your vehicle is, pick it, right? The point is that the money is working. It's not just sitting. And saving accounts, they don't build freedom, right? Assets do. So we always talk about ownership and assets, and that's exactly what that means. And then the third freedom and the third habit, freedom habit, right, is that they review their numbers regularly, and it's without any emotion. So you could do weekly, you could do monthly, like, but whatever the cadence is, right? Look at it. There's these people who do well. They look at it. They say, okay, where did that come from? Where did it go out to? What's my net worth? How much passive income is coming in? What's that passive income covering? And you don't do it with guilt, right? It's not with guilt. It's not with anxiety. It's not fear. But it's with curiosity. So, like think about like the pilot checking all the instruments, right? You can't fly that plane if you won't look at the dashboard. So you can't really control your financial situation if you don't know where everything is going to, coming from, how much you're worth, right? And so I would say that the people who really build this freedom, they treat their finances like a system, and it's a system that they manage, and it's not just like mysterious and you're like, oh, if this works it's going to work, or I hope it works but I'm not going to look at it. So that's kind of how, that's how I those are how the financially freedom, that's how they think, right? The financial free, that's how they think, but they really they're really evaluating their money, they're evaluating all their numbers, they're deploying capital, it's very important, and then they're paying themselves by their investing. My apologies if you hear a little bit of the background noise, but as I wrap up, right, I want you to think about like, okay, what is practical? What can I do? And the move for the week, right? Pick, I would say just one. Remember, it's in the boring, it's in the mundane, it's in the consistency, but it's working, right? Pick one freedom and install it. Just do one, right? So if you don't have, and this is simple, because I love simple. If you don't have an automatic transfer moving from your savings or your checking into an investment account before you spend it, set that up this week. It's the best. It's so freeing, right? You don't have to think about it. You're just like, "Oh, okay, the money went." Like the first few times it's going to sting a little, but then after that you're just going to be like, okay, the money's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I really didn't need that money, right? So if your money is sitting with no assignment, pick one account and give every dollar in that account a job, right? And if you are, I'd say if you're like avoiding the numbers, sit down, just do 15 minutes, right? And look at your bank account, your credit card statements, look at your investment statements, right? Add it up, face it, and be like, okay, this is what I'm worth, right? All my 401k, all my investments, look at it and see what I'm worth, right? Whatever you see, I'll tell you, good, bad, ugly, whatever you see, it's better than not knowing, right? And I think that's what we need to learn. And so I'm asking you one habit. That's it. Because here's the thing about financial freedom, right? It's not built again in one big moment. It's not like one thing, this fell on your lap today, right? It's built in the small, the boring, the mundane, the consistent things that you do when no one else is watching, right? The people I have learned, and I've seen it over and over and over. The people who are free, they didn't get lucky. It wasn't just like a, like a one-time thing that they did and they got lucky, right? They got disciplined over a few things that most people keep putting off. And I think that's how they succeeded. So I would tell you, stop putting it off, right? This is your week. Take the, like, just go attack it, but do it little, right? Don't go after something massive. Just make a small decision today, and do it. So whether, like I said, like whether it's automatically transferring money or looking at all your accounts or making sure money's not sitting, just pick one thing and then do that, and then go at it with everything that you've got. Remember, small, boring, mundane, unsexy, consistent, all of those things is how you're truly going to become financially free. So again, happy Monday. Have an amazing Monday. Have an amazing rest of the week. If you're thinking something, share it in the comments. If you're excited about learning, share it. All the good things. But I'm always excited to come here, and share like how we're growing together, and the things that excite you. So again, I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for all the growth, but I just want to say thank you for showing up. And if you're streaming online, it's nice to connect with you virtually. I'm definitely implementing these. I love the comments. Wonderful.